your American dream?
My American dream would be to continue working hard for what is my next career, my next dream. My next step would be to be on camera and work for a big sport television broadcasting company. That would be a dream of mine.
For me, the American dream is the freedom to define that goal for yourself and for your family, and the freedom to obtain that goal.
My American dream is to be a role model for both my kids and the world, to make culture a really big part of their life and my life, to be deeply rooted and involved in community has always been a big one for my family.
Everyone has a right to the American dream. All right, welcome everybody. It is July 13th, and in the immortal words of Dion Reed, squat up all you lovely peeps. Where is Yo-Yo? Where is Vanessa? Vanessa, why do you look so short? Up, Vanessa just got tall again. What's going? Vanessa's short. Vanessa, you short or tall today? What's going on with you?
I don't know. Whatever we want me to be.
I don't know. You were there. You were here. You were up. You were down.
Sweater, Yo-Yo. Love that
you
color.
like my little background?
What is that color? Is that like a yellowish, orangish?
My shirt?
Yeah.
Like an
mustardy?
My shirt is like a mustard. Like, it's weird. Like a mustard greenish. I don't know.
Yeah,
child.
we don't know. What's going on? How's everybody?
Pretty good.
Yes.
Pretty good.
You had a nice weekend?
Feeling good.
You feeling good?
Yeah. It was a nice weekend. I really relaxed and just got the house together. I've been doing art as well, so.
And Vanessa?
Chilling.
There's great weather outside. I've just been hustling, working on my digital contenting.
You know what? And by the way, you know what's better than feeling good? Looking good. And you both look really, really good. Actually, that's not true. That is very shallow of me. That is absolutely extraordinarily shallow. You would want to feel better than look better, right?
Okay.
No, I want to look and feel good.
Yes, you want to look and feel good.
Yes, just like you.
That's correct.
And if you guys feel good out there, give us a thumbs up. How about that? Let's start there.
Come on.
How about that? If you don't feel good but you think you look good, give us a thumbs up too. How's that? How's that? A thumbs up either way. You either look good or you feel good. One or the other, right?
There you go.
And then if you look good and you feel good, you can give us a thumbs up and share. Do both, right? Because it's your day.
Yes.
Let's say hello to the squad. Marge Higgs, how are you? I see Keith Graham watching. Jessica Levy Joel is watching as well. Sydney Bursick, also known as Pizza. What's going on? And who else is here in the comments? Marcia McCullough, squad up. Karine Plunkett, just chilling out. She says she's chilling. Christy Consali, how are you? And not a lot of comments today. Not a lot of people saying hello. They're all chilling, maybe. Maybe they'll say hello in a few minutes. Tracy Rowe also saying hello, Uncle Brad. Let's check out what's going on YouTube. Sophia Almastone saying hello there. And Tally squad up, everybody. Back it up, Ricky. How are you? Better Life Records with a question. We'll get to it in a little bit. Tally. And Shamar Hines saying, bonjour, squad up. By the way, Barry Slusher, I'm not sure. But Barry says, I love your show, Brad Show Live. Thank you very much, Barry. And Yo-Yo, Vanessa, why don't you tell everybody what they need to do while they're just chilling out and listening? Maybe they could move an arm or a thumb every so often. You burn off a calorie sharing this. Why don't you tell everybody what they need to do?
Absolutely. All right, everybody. First things first. If you want to become a VIP member, it is so easy to become a VIP member. All you have to do is join the Facebook fan page. It is the Brad Squad. That is the official Brad Squad page. All right, I need you guys to do that because you will get incentives. You'll get special content that we're not going to put on YouTube or on the actual Facebook page. And we're also going to allow you to put in your question anytime throughout the day. The first 5 that we get, you will get a guaranteed answer during social media check-in. That's the only time you'll get anything guaranteed. So if you're not, listen, I need everybody in the comments right now to say if they have already joined the Facebook fan page. It is very easy. All you have to do is go to the page and actually put join, and we will accept it from our end, okay? Now, for Facebook, we need everybody to share. This is the beginning of the week, so this is the perfect time to let everybody know that we are live, all right? All you have to do is click the little arrow under the video, and it says share. It's a little arrow that's going to the right. All you have to do is share it to people's pages. You can share it to your friends, your family. Inbox. Inboxing is very fun and easy as well because you can let them know exactly what the show is about. Share it to groups that you think might benefit from this show. Now, also, we love when you guys talk to us. We love the interaction. So talk to us, talk to each other. Make sure you like, love, smiley face, sad face, whatever you're feeling. Make sure you show that emotion as well. All right, Ness-quick, what are we going to do on YouTube?
Alrighty, guys. So on YouTube, I need you to do the first and most important thing that you could do here is subscribe. So make sure that you subscribe to Brad Show Live and turn on that notification bell so that you are aware of when we are on live every day, Monday through Friday. Make sure that you also share on YouTube. The same way that you can share on Facebook, you can go ahead and share this video happening right now with your friends via text, through an inbox, forward it, let them know that this show is happening. As a loyal follower, as a viewer that's gaining so much value and so much knowledge from Brad, share the love and let your family and friends know that this is the place to go for any of your immigration questions. We are also on Instagram, so be sure to follow at Brad Show Live, where we are also hosting some great incentives there. And all you need to do is find the Dancing Brad on our Instagram page, like that image, and comment, tag 5 friends. Each time that you comment and tag 5 friends, your name will be entered in our vault, and we will select one of those names on Wednesday, and that person will get the free consultation with Brad. This consultation is usually valued at $200. And all you have to do is follow us on Brad Show Live, find that post, tag 5 friends, tag 5 friends again, and again, and you'll be entered in the vault. I think they're ready for what's next now, Yo-Yo.
All right, everybody, let's find out what's happening around the world with Schmoozing with Brad.
Yo-Yo with that huge microphone. I love it, Yo-Yo. Nobody has a bigger microphone on all of YouTube and Facebook than Yo-Yo.
It doesn't exist.
Wait, what
Brad.
happened?
Look at that microphone. I am telling you, there is not a person.
What?
There is not. Can we get Yo-Yo shot in? There is not a person. Get Yo-Yo shot in. There is not a person with a microphone that big on all of YouTube. Yes.
Brad, if there was anyone that was going to make this work from home talk show thing work,
Yes.
it was going to be us.
That's
no
right.
matter the size
That's
of the mic.
right. That's right.
That's not bad.
Yo-Yo said, "God damn it, I'm going to be heard. Give me the biggest mic that I can find."
Listen, and now look at it. You can hear me.
That's right. Now I want you to know something. I feel. I mean, maybe this is a hump day conversation, but I feel very inferior. Look at the size of my mic. My mic, and they give me this tiny mic. Look, it's like puny mic. Maybe we should talk about this on Hump Day, but I'm feeling very inferior right now, Yo-Yo. Feeling very, very inferior.
It's about quality.
It's the quality of the
Don't
mic,
worry,
not
yeah,
the size of the mic, right?
It's not the size of the mic, it's the quality. Right.
All right, let's see. Let's
Brad,
focus,
Brad.
right? Laser focus. Meanwhile, I don't know if I guess you guys saw on Friday after we got off the air, President Trump commuted the prison sentence of Roger Stone, who was convicted of lying to Congress about his efforts to contact WikiLeaks during the Russia interference in the 2016 election. Stone was sentenced to more than 3 years in prison. He was due to go to prison within days, and Donald Trump commuted his sentence. Now, there's a difference between commuting a sentence and giving a pardon. Giving a pardon means you're innocent. Commuting a sentence means you don't go to jail. So what Donald Trump did is he didn't give Stone a pardon. He, as far as I understand it, he commuted Stone's sentence. And as a result, Roger Stone, although he lied to federal investigators, he didn't even plead guilty. This went to trial. It actually went to trial, and a jury of his peers found him guilty of lying to the federal government to protect Donald Trump. But on Monday, today, federal judge Amy Berman demanded, this is the judge who presided over the trial, demanded more information about Trump's decision to commute Stone's sentence. And the reason is this. Now, you know, under the Constitution, Trump has the right to pardon anybody he wants. What he doesn't have the right to do, and even William Barr, the U.S. attorney, when he was being confirmed by the Senate, testified and said it would be a crime for a president to give a pardon to somebody in exchange for a promise not to incriminate the president. And there is lots of social media statements by Roger Stone, who says in social media, I could have said a lot about the president, I kept quiet, so I hope he will give me a pardon. Meanwhile, earlier this week, Attorney General Bill Barr, he doubled down and he said that Stone's prosecution was righteous, appropriate, and the sentence was fair. Mitt Romney, who ran for president of the Republican Party, he said this was unprecedented, historic corruption. Other Republicans also criticized the president's decision. Senator Pat Toomey wrote on Saturday afternoon, in my view, commuting Roger Stone's sentence is a mistake. Representative Adam Schiff, a Democrat of California, he said, if you lie for me, if you cover up for me, if you obstruct for me, I will protect you. This is what Trump is saying by commuting Roger Stone's sentence. And I'll say one other thing. During the most famous corruption in U.S. political history, Richard Nixon, who resigned from office rather than getting impeached, he never had the gumption. All right, 2 U.S. attorneys went to jail, and several of his other associates went to jail for campaign crimes. Nixon never pardoned any of them. He knew that would have been a crime itself. Yo-yo, Vanessa.
You can't dig yourself into a deeper hole.
Apparently not. But you know what? But I still have this theory. That if Trump is losing, he's not going. If Trump knows he's going to lose the election, he's going to fake. This is my theory, as crazy as this sounds, and I've said it before. He's going to fake an illness. He's going to resign, let Pence run, and then let Pence give him a pardon, because he knows if he loses the election, the Democrats are going to come after him. And I mean, he potentially could go to jail. Kushner could go to jail. The whole crew, his whole crew, may end up going to jail. Who knows?
I so see that happening.
You don't see that happening. You don't think he would ever give up?
I do. I so see it.
Because I think he would rather resign than lose an election.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
His ego.
Yeah.
His ego won't let him. Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Now nobody has said this anywhere, but it's my theory. The only way he gets away with all of this is if Pence gives him a pardon after and he resigns, because he can't give himself a pardon. But we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, I just want to clarify one thing. President Trump dangled out in a Twitter post. I believe this was in the Twitter post, or maybe he may have mentioned it also. He said that he is going to give an executive order to give deferred action for childhood arrival recipients U.S. citizenship. He can't confer U.S. citizenship on anybody. He doesn't have the authority under the Constitution to do it. It has to be done by an act of Congress. So I'm not exact. When people say, you know, were calling me up all weekend, do you think Trump's going to do this? I said, no, I just think He's just looking to, trying to look like he's a good guy, but just all talk. But he can't do that under the Constitution of the United States. The only people who can give citizenship is an act of Congress, and then the president has to sign off on it. But the president can't unilaterally decide somebody is a U.S. citizen. Now, when Obama created DACA, Trump, he criticized Obama for overreach, saying he's not allowed to create this amnesty program, which is not even an amnesty program. An amnesty program would be, here's a green card. All DACA was a promise not to deport you. So it was no amnesty, which is all about how people manipulate the facts to get people to form opinions that may or may, depending on what they want them to believe. But the reality is DACA is not an amnesty. It never was an amnesty. What DACA was deferred action, and it stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Deferred action under immigration law is a promise not to deport somebody, saying, you know what, we're not going to enforce your deportation because it's not fair. It's just not fair to deport you. Saying, right, I'm not going to deport you is a lot different than saying, here's a green card, you could live here for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's not an amnesty that Obama ever gave. Meanwhile, Trump, he criticized Obama for doing it. As a matter of fact, he withdrew DACA. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and we're going to talk about this with the student visas too in a second. Was that the Supreme Court said, well, you never gave a good reason why you were withdrawing it. You just can't arbitrarily do it. You just have to have a decent reason why you were going to do it. And he never gave a decent reason to do it, other than he said Obama wasn't allowed to make this program. Yet Trump makes a million programs all the time. He barred people from coming in immigration. Okay, Trump has been the king of executive orders, as a matter of fact. Meanwhile, 200 schools are now backing a lawsuit along with 17 states to prevent Trump from deporting students who are here lawfully on student visas who are taking online courses because of COVID-19, that they're not allowed to go back into the classroom. Now, part of that lawsuit is the same BS that Trump did with DACA. He said, anyone on a student visa, this was the regulation, anyone on a student visa who does an online class has to leave the country without giving any rational reason behind the change in regulations. If you do not give a rational, logical reason for why you're doing it, people could disagree with your reasoning. But right, under the Administrative Procedures Act, the APA, you have to give a rational reason why you are making this change. There has to have some logic behind it. You just can't arbitrarily change rules without any rational thought or reasoning behind it. That's why DACA lost in the Supreme Court. And as a matter of fact, that's why I believe they're going to have a hearing tomorrow. Students are going to be allowed to stay. It's my belief. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Students are going to be allowed to stay who take online courses because it's the same thing that Trump did again. He just unilaterally changed the law. He never gave a rational reason behind it.
Yeah, I was actually just having lunch with a young lady that I know that actually is from New Jersey, but she goes to school in Florida, and she was communicating to me how in her university there's a lot of international students, and how COVID hit in March, where there's these international students that had things in their dorms and etc. And then everyone had to leave campus or went back home, due to whatever. And the universities are finding students that didn't clear out their dorms prior to COVID, and now getting ready to go into the fall, which goes back to one of the conversations we had last week about schools opening up again, universities in Florida. And it's just where is this all gonna lead? Amongst these super duper millennials, Well, and I was speaking to this young woman, and I was like, wow, what?
Well, part of the lawsuit to allow students to take online courses and not lose their visa status is the fact that you're risking the health of not only the students, you're risking the health of Americans as well by forcing students to congregate in a classroom and force schools to remain open in order to teach students. So you're actually ironically, against what is beneficial for Americans.
Yeah.
Here you are saying, I'm going to help Americans, kick everybody out. But really what you're doing is you're forcing schools to remain open. You're forcing more people to get sick with coronavirus.
Kick them out, but still charge them tuition.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other thing, because Trump says, his retort is, well, I can't believe these schools are charging full tuition for online schooling. And to his credit, he's right. If you're taking an online class, you shouldn't be charged by Harvard or MIT full tuition. There should be a discount to it. But that is not, but that's mutually exclusive to whether or not people should be kicked out of the United States of America. Those are two different things. Meanwhile, I don't know what happened to my crew over there. Oh, there you are. You hear me, guys?
Here we are.
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
We hear you.
All right. So meanwhile, let's talk about global coronavirus statistics. In the United States now, there are over 500. Worldwide, 570,000 people have died. In the United States, more than 3.5 million people have been diagnosed with corona. In the United States, 138,000 deaths. New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene officials today, however, congratulations to Governor Cuomo, who's done so far a wonderful job, reported 0 deaths for coronavirus for the first time in New York. Nobody died of coronavirus in the last 24 hours. However, not so great in other parts of the United States. In other parts of the United States, Florida has over 15,000 coronavirus diagnoses. That's more coronavirus diagnoses than New York had at the height of our quarantine back in April. Now, in Florida's defense, there's a lot more testing now than there was in New York back in April. So it's hard to, compare and contrast the two. However, talking about schooling, Ness-quick, today Los Angeles and San Diego both said that their public schools are going to be closed. It's going to be full online learning only. Los Angeles and all of California is rolling back also their reopening. Every restaurant now, unless it's outdoor dining, is closed in California. All bars are closed in California. And in Oregon, you can't even have a gathering of more than 10 people now. Not for a birthday party, not for a card game, not for a dinner party in your home.
The West Coast is not playing.
No more than 10 people, period.
That's how we started
I'm moving
off.
west, y'all.
And now in New York, if you fly into New York from one of 37 states that have a high risk of getting coronavirus, which is most of the United States now, you have to quarantine for 14 days. If you do not quarantine, you will receive a fine of $2,000 that takes effect today. So if you plan on flying into New York from another state, we're not even talking about another country, another state, there is a 14-day quarantine. And the way they're going to do it is every person who flies in now has to fill out some sort of form. I don't know what form it is, but they're going to have to fill out some sort of form at the airport for the New York State authorities to follow up on you to make sure you're quarantined.
Yeah. I had actually traveled to Florida a few weeks back, and when you enter Florida, they have you fill out a form, and then I don't know where that form ended up because I don't know what happened with it. Like, I don't know how strict they are about it or what's the mishap with the form afterwards. I didn't sign anything coming back to New York, New Jersey, but it makes perfect sense to have people coming back into the state, like, fill out this form. And yeah, that I can see that
Yeah,
being a
so
thing. We're just going through the
I'm here for
motions,
it.
figuring it out as we go.
what'd you say?
Right, I'm
What?
here for it because they were, everybody's been calling us the epicenter. And every time I was telling my friends and family, yo, come and visit, they're like, what? The epicenter? No, I'm not going out there now. Listen, it's actually you guys that we're trying to, we're keeping y'all out.
Yo, New York is paradise right now, right? Comparative to everywhere else that's going on. Now,
Compared to everywhere else, it is.
Now, Cuomo said he has not, even though California has decided not to open up their public schools, Cuomo here in New York said it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, on a region-by-region basis, whether or not they're going to open up schools or not. In order for a school to remain open each week, wherever that school district is, the amount of people who are being diagnosed with coronavirus has to remain below 5% over a 14-day period. If the amount of coronavirus infections of people who are tested goes over 5%, Cuomo's going to close the public schools. That's kind of how it's going to work with Cuomo. Now, outside of, Cuomo had this issue with the nursing homes. I was talking about it with Julie earlier. I think he's done a really wonderful job in the sense that I believe he's really trying to save lives and make people wear masks and make people understand this is real, and he's doing the job of what a leader should be doing. Now, he may have made a mistake with nursing homes. I don't know enough about what happened with nursing homes, but, the knock on Cuomo with how he handled the coronavirus epidemic so far is that elderly people who got sick and went to a hospital after they got released got sent back to a nursing home, whether or not they were still able to infect other people or not, or whether or not they were strong enough to be in a nursing home or be susceptible to additional infection. And a lot of elderly people died early on in this coronavirus epidemic in New York. Those rules have changed. Elderly people are no longer going back into nursing homes after they leave the hospitals. But that is the knock on Cuomo. Now, whether or not that's his fault, he claims it's the federal government's role, funding, everything else. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it. And I was telling Jilly, I said, what do you think? And she said, I don't know enough about it either. But that's the one knock on Cuomo. So I can't comment whether Cuomo did the right thing or not. But we'll find out eventually.
Yeah.
And
along with, we're all just like learning through this.
Right.
As well.
Yeah. Now, meanwhile, we said Florida had 15,000 new cases. 8 states have set single daily death records, including Alabama, Arizona, Florida, as we said, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Tennessee. Meanwhile, the new spike in cases comes one day after Disney World has reopened. 16,000 people in the middle of an epidemic went to Disney World and waited online to go.
I believe it.
What is wrong with Americans? Yo, can you please tell me in a couple sentences what is wrong with the brains on these people? It reminds me, it's like, look at you remember in Pulp Fiction? And the guy goes, look at the big brain on Brad, right? That's everyone always tells me, look at that. I don't need a big brain to know I don't need to go to Disney World right now.
I mean,
Yeah.
You would think it's common sense. Like, you have to touch rides, you have to touch poles, you're in the same vicinity of like thousands of people. You would think it would make sense. Like,
yeah, but people just feel like if I wear my mask and like take my precautions and wear gloves, we'll all be okay.
Now,
like, no, I'm not even going to put myself in that predicament.
Now, a lot of people just don't believe coronavirus. I'm not, and I blame this all on politicians, because if all of our politicians from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party would be truthful with the American people. Okay, and what happens in America, I hate to be, stand on my high American horse. People follow what goes on in America around the world. Perfect example of this, Trump wasn't wearing a mask, right? So who else wasn't wearing a mask? Boris Johnson in England not wearing a mask. You know who else wasn't wearing a mask? The guy in Brazil, I can't pronounce his name, Bolsonaro, or whatever his name is, also not wearing a mask. There are a lot of politicians not wearing a mask because Trump in America is not wearing a mask. Guess what I saw in the newspaper today? Trump wearing a mask?
I'm wearing it.
Guess what I also saw in the newspaper? Boris Johnson decided he started wearing a mask too. So did the guy in Brazil. All of a sudden, Trump starts wearing a mask, everyone starts wearing a mask. So what happens in America gets followed. Whether the world deserves America or not, that's a whole other story. I don't know why the world follows America. But whatever happens in America, people follow around the world. So what happens in America affects everybody in the entire world. And we have politicians here in America who are saying they don't believe this. People are discrediting Fauci. Republicans saying, I don't believe in coronavirus. People have conspiracy theories online that this is all fake. Meanwhile, in an obituary written in Arizona by Kristen Urquiza for her father, who died last month from coronavirus in Arizona, she offered two causes of death: the virus and the ineptitude on the part of the United States government officials. She wrote that the death of her father, Mark Anthony Urquiza, is due to the carelessness of the politicians who continue to jeopardize the health of brown bodies through a clear lack of leadership. She told the New York Times, I believe that my dad's death was preventable, and had the Governor Ducey administration, that's the governor in Arizona, the Trump administration been listening to experts, doctors, epidemiologists, Dr. Fauci, we would be in a completely different situation. If we had everybody wearing masks, socially distancing, we would be like Europe right now. We would be in a completely different situation. Meanwhile, another example, in San Antonio, doctor says a man in his 30s who thought the coronavirus was a hoax, he died from the disease after attending a coronavirus party. Dr. Jane Appleby, a chief medical officer at San Antonio's Methodist Hospital, says she's been hearing about COVID-19 parties. The doctor says a 30-year-old man recently died at the hospital after attending one of these parties. He said he said to his nurse, I think I made a mistake. And this young man went to a COVID party. Let's watch.
Just before the patient died, they looked at their nurse and they said, I think I made a mistake.
Now, some people, now some people, she said, will come in initially. They don't look so bad. They don't look so sick. But when you check their oxygen levels and their lab tests, they're really sicker than what they appear. So, have you heard of these COVID parties?
I read about it.
Is this something you would ever want to do?
I read about it.
Hell no. What? So basically what they're saying is people who tested positive for COVID go to the parties, and there are people that are negative, and they basically just go to see if they're going to actually catch it or not. What sense does that make?
Exactly.
There's something about that party invite that I'm good at not receiving.
Meanwhile, in sports news, you know about the Washington Redskins. The Washington Redskins.
I went to Howard.
Yeah, Washington's NFL franchise, the Redskins. Today, the team announced that they will be taking that name down. They will no longer be referred to as the Redskins. It's derogatory to Indians. It's naming a team after the skin of the color of the skin of an Indian, with a mascot on the helmet that is a cartoonish figure of a lot of stereotypes of what an Indian would look like. In an interview on July 4th, the coach of the Redskins, Ron Rivera, said he hoped a new name would be in place by the 2020 season. They have not said what their name is going to be yet, but what I read that the owner of the Washington team, we don't know what the new name is going to be. Years and years ago, he was aware of this situation. He was aware it was a racist name. He wouldn't change it, but he was aware of it. And he bought as a backup the website for WashingtonWarriors.com or something similar to that. So my guess is, since he did that, my bet is that they're going to be called the Washington Warriors, but I have no idea. You know anything?
Yeah, because he was saying that it was actually paying homage to the Indians, and we knew it wasn't. Like, we knew it wasn't. That's a very derogatory, and just even using their names and having that type of a mascot right there is already some kind of racist, thing. I already said what I want it to be, because I went to I went to Howard in DC, and I said that they should call it the Red Tails.
The Red Tails.
Red Tails, because there were a unit of black fighter pilots in World War II.
Oh, okay.
And that's when the military was still segregated, and DC holds the oldest HBCU, historically black college, that was founded in 1867. So I feel like if you're gonna, if they're gonna change the name, it should pay homage to, an oppressed race or something. So I think that Red Tails would be dope. And they could change the song. All they have to do is change Braves to Men.
I think it's going to be Warriors only because he bought the website years ago. But if I had to vote on a name, I would call it the Washington Yo-Yos after Yonathan Elias. That's what I would name it after you, Yo-Yo.
I like that.
Yes, I say let's call it the Washington Yo-Yos. That's my vote.
They win every time.
I would love that.
All right, and finally, because we're doing sports here on Monday. I don't know if you saw, but for about 5 minutes last week, Usain Bolt's record in the 200-meter race was broken by U.S. runner Noah Lyles, who became, for about 5 minutes, the fastest man in the world. He couldn't believe it, Noah Lyles, because he never ran that fast his entire life. Now, apparently, he finished the 200-meter race in 18.9 seconds, which beat Usain Bolt's record of 19.19 seconds. He actually blew it out of the water. But then somebody discovered something. He started 50 feet too short. It wasn't his fault. They made the race 50 feet short of 200 meters. So for about 5 minutes, Usain Bolt thought his record was broken. Noah Lyles, who never ran that fast ever in his life, thought he ran the race of a lifetime. He was jumping up and down until he realized that he ran 50 feet too short. He later said on Twitter, Noah Lyles, "You can't be playing with my emotions like this. Got me in the wrong lane, shaking my head."
That's foul. Can you imagine thinking that you just broke a world record just to find out you didn't?
That's crazy. So Jamaica, all of Jamaica's still happy. They still got the record.
It almost reminds me of when Steve Harvey announced the wrong winner for, what was it?
That was Miss Universe. Miss Universe.
Miss Universe?
Right.
That's what it reminds me of.
Listen, I did beauty pageants for a long time, and that was a very sour time for pageantry and for Steve Harvey.
It almost reminds me of the time that we put on the best Brad show live ever, only to find out that Julian, the TriCaster guy, forgot to turn on Facebook and YouTube. It's the same exact thing. That's not true.
That really happen?
That's not true. I made that up.
I was about to say,
I was like, no way Julian did that.
All right, guys, that's our schmooze for the day. Why don't you tell everybody what they need to do while I stretch to answer some immigration questions?
All right, everybody. Now on Facebook, you already know we already talked about sharing. We already talked about putting your comments and your questions in the comment section. Now, what we need you all to do is start your watch parties. All right. This is a way to get the show out to your entire friends list. All you have to do is follow what this finger is doing. Press share, watch party, host. Start that watch party. And it takes this video from our page to your page, and it literally sends a ding notification to your entire friends list, especially the ones that are on right now. And you could even share that watch party to other people's pages, and you can share it into an inbox. So let's think outside the box on how we can get this show out there. So start your watch party. Now share that to an inbox. Share it to your friends. Be like, hey, I'm hosting this watch party. Come watch with me. All right. Now, Ness-quick, what are we going to do on YouTube?
Okay, team, I'm just going to remind you guys again, on YouTube, you should already be subscribed to the Brad Show channel. Turn on your notification bell so you know when our show is on live Monday through Friday. You can also share this via YouTube. Share it through a text message, a DM, to a different post on a different platform. Let people know all the value and the knowledge that Brad is about to bring onto this show right now. I already know that many of you guys are loyal viewers. Make some of your friends loyal viewers. You never know who needs this information. We're also on Instagram, you guys, where we also have great incentives there. So make sure you follow us at Brad Show Live. That you also find the Dancing Brad post, where we are giving away our $200 value consultation with Brad for absolutely free. All you need to do is like that post, tag 5 friends in the comments, tag 5 friends again in a different comment, and every time that you tag 5 friends, your name will be entered in our vault that will be picked on Wednesday, and we will let you guys know who the winner of the free consultation is then. Alrighty, Yo-Yo, I think they're ready for the next segment.
Absolutely. All right, you already know what time it is. This is where you call in and get answers. Here's Grace.
All right, Fatima in Edison, New Jersey. Fatima, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Brian. How you doing?
Good, good. What's going on?
Yeah, I have a question for you, please.
Yes.
My daughter, she's 12 years old. My husband filed for her last year. So when I'm undocumented, so when we go to the interview, they approve me and my 3 kids. They are back in, my 3 kids are in Africa. I'm here in the States. They approve them, but because they approve them, they send the letter to NVC. NVC reply me everything. So but now, when I submit the documents to NVC, they reject the they need it.
Where are they from? What country?
Sierra Leone.
Why did the NVC reject it? Are they they're under 21? These children?
Yeah, they're under 21.
Okay, so why did so the NVC rejected it for some reason? It had nothing to do with they're barred from coming to America. Children under 21 whose U.S. citizen parents sponsored them can come.
My husband called them. They said
you're breaking up, Fatima. Take a step to the right.
Yes, we need it. We need a transition now. But my daughter is sick for over 3 months, and she has cancer.
So if you want, I mean, I don't know why they're rejecting it, but if your daughter has cancer and she needs to get here, you're going to want to expedite all of this. And if you want, we can get involved in it, or you can tell the National Visa Center about her cancer, demonstrate it, ask for an expedite. Now, the one thing when you do that is when you say, oh, this child has cancer, then when she gets to the embassy is going to want to know that there's medical insurance to cover her cancer because they don't want the U.S. government to pay for her treatment. So make sure that if you're going to go that route to expedite it, that you have medical insurance for your daughter so that you can demonstrate to the U.S. consulate or U.S. embassy that she's not going to go on Medicaid.
Okay, so can I get the insurance here now for her?
Yeah, well, you're not going to be able to get the insurance until she enters America. But what you're going to need to do is show that you have the ability to do it. This is the insurance you're getting. This is what you're buying. They'll approve her, whether it's through your husband's job that he can include her. But somehow you're going to have to demonstrate that she's going to have medical insurance, because otherwise they're not going to give her the visa. when she goes to the embassy in Sierra Leone. But certainly you can use the cancer to expedite her case, but you can't expedite anything if you're not doing the paperwork right and they keep rejecting it.
Yes, well, the thing is, the embassy is closed. My husband called the embassy. The embassy is closed. The airport everywhere is closed in the country presently right now.
Well, right now, if your papers are at the National Visa Center, you got to expedite it at the National Visa Center, get it to the embassy, and then call the embassy.
Okay.
And if you need help, you're breaking up, so I'm having trouble hearing you. But if you need help, hold on 1 second, okay? Let's go to Kelvin in Ghana. All the way in Ghana. Kelvin, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm good.
What's going on?
Late over here. My case recently got to the MVC, and I'm in the F2A category, and I wanted to know how.
Well, right now with the F2A category, while Trump is president, you're not coming till next year, because he put a ban on everybody with F2A until December 31st.
But I'm under 21, and I heard about the aging out.
Yes, okay. I don't know why. I just assumed you were married to a permanent resident. So my apologies.
No, I'm a kid.
Yes, all right. So if you're a kid and you're going to age out, that's an exception to the immigration ban. So your petitioner has to notify the National Visa Center that you're an age out problem, and they will continue to process it to make sure that you get an appointment for your green card before you turn 21.
Thank you.
All right. So make sure they contact, and if they're having trouble contacting National Visa Center, hold on 1 second, okay?
Okay.
All right. Let's go to Greg in Lakewood, Florida. Greg.
Hi, Brad.
Hey, how are you?
I'm okay. I have two questions, Brad. The first one is, I have a 13-year-old son that has a 10-year green card, right? He's in Jamaica. And I'm wondering about the 6-month rule. Does the 6-month rule applies to him? And
to a 13-month-old child or a 13-year-old child?
No, 13-year-old.
13.
Yeah, green card, right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, it won't apply because he's under 18, and especially with coronavirus right now. So I wouldn't worry about it. If they're over 18, it's a different issue.
So I don't have to worry about taking him?
Not at the moment, no. Because he's 13 and this coronavirus, I wouldn't worry about it at the moment.
Even if it's over a year?
Even if it's over a year, yeah. But, eventually you're going to have to bring the child back.
Okay.
All right.
I want another question.
And the reason is because a child doesn't have the age the mentality under the law to abandon permanent residence.
Okay.
Okay, especially under the age of corona. But eventually, yes, you're going to have to bring the child back.
Okay, but after a year, but after a year, I'm okay with him going, because January coming, it will be a year, so that would be.
At the moment, you're okay. Come talk to me in January.
Okay.
All right.
Brad, I have another question.
Okay.
One more question, Brad.
What?
And the citizenship. I'm applying for citizenship. Would he be automatically?
Only when he re-enters the U.S. with a green card and you're a citizen would he become an automatic citizen. But he would not become an automatic citizen living in another country, because to be an automatic U.S. citizen, you have to be living in the physical and legal custody of your father. He's not living in the physical or legal custody of his father when he's in another country. So you would have to bring him back to America to have him live with you to become a U.S. citizen.
So you have to live with me for a couple of months or something like that.
Yes. Whatever the term living is for that period of time.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Let's go to Sonny in Indianapolis, Indiana. Sonny.
Hey, Brad. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
Good, sir. Hey, I did file VAWA, and then I did receive RFE, and I responded it to about 6 months ago. It's been 6 months. I never heard anything from them.
Okay.
What are my options?
I don't know what your options are. I don't know what I don't know what the problem was. What you had to respond to. What was the issue that you responded to?
I never sent anything when I filed it. I filed it like
you filed bare bones, and then they asked you to right. So you got to give them some time. How long into your case did they send you that RFE?
I filed it in April 2018, and then they sent me after 18 months the RFE, and then it's been 6 months since I.
Have you filed an adjustment application?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, they should be making a decision shortly on it. I think filing a mandamus is a little premature at this point. They're supposed to make a decision in 4 months. It's already 6 months. Give it to the end of September. If you still haven't heard anything by the end of September, then you may want to contact me to start threatening a mandamus against them.
Okay, I will. Thank you, man. And one more question.
Yes.
I was married to my wife for more than 6 years, but we never ever filed joint taxes because she didn't let me. So is there a problem? They're going to look at it or no? Because I never sent it.
It certainly doesn't help your case. Is that automatically that you're going to get denied? No, they look at the totality of circumstances of the abuse and of the bona fides of the marriage. So yeah, not filing a joint tax return doesn't help your case, but it doesn't mean it's automatically going to be denied. Maybe you have lots of other documentation to prove it was a real marriage. Believe it or not, in an abuse case, the best documentation is the police came to your home. Because the police saw you guys living together and you filed a complaint against your wife. That's the best, because it proves some sort of level of abuse and proves the police saw you living there.
Right.
All right, so it depends what you have. I'm not saying that, and if you don't have a police report, doesn't mean you can't file a VAWA case either. I'm just saying, a lot depends on what you have.
Okay. All right, Brad. Thank you, sir.
Right,
I wait till September, and if I didn't hear anything,
then call me. Right, hang in there. Let's go to Michelle in Brooklyn. Michelle.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I had my interview done on the 6th of December. My daughter also had her interview done on the 16th of December. I didn't put in the paperwork together because of financial reason. It was too expensive for us, so we did it separate. So since then, I haven't heard back anything from USCSI. Should I be worried because it's almost 6 months now?
Well, I mean, if you didn't get approved right away, the more and more months that go by, the likelihood is that they didn't believe it was a real marriage. So you only have to be worried if you're in something other than a real marriage. What's a real marriage to immigration? A real marriage is you and your spouse live together and you have a financial relationship that starts with a bank account and you commingle your funds and pay your bills. If you live together and you have that financial relationship, you should not be worried. It's a real marriage. Likely what will happen is that they will call you back once coronavirus subsides. They will call you back for something called a Stokes interview, where they're going to separate you and ask you several hundred questions. And if you live together and have that financial relationship, you should pass. So, I always tell people all the time, you only have something to worry if you're trying to do something wrong. If you're doing everything right, it's a real legitimate marriage.
I know, because
now that doesn't mean because you're in a real legitimate marriage that every person in a real legitimate marriage gets through, because they don't. They screw up. And there are people probably out there who are in fake marriages or who pull the wool over immigration's eyes. But for the most part, if you're in a legitimate marriage, then you should be okay.
Because I knew they were saying give it 120 days, but it's been over 120 days. So that's why I'm asking.
If it's more than 120 days, the likely reason is either one, your fingerprints have not cleared, and people's fingerprints take longer to clear if they're coming from they just do a lot more investigation from African countries and majority Muslim countries and certain other countries. They just do it. It's not fair, but they do it. But generally speaking, after 6-7 months, 9 out of 10 times you haven't heard after 6-7 months, 9 out of 10 times you're getting a Stokes interview.
Oh, okay. And for my daughter, because she had her interview on the 16th of December as well, and she hasn't had that.
Well, she will only get approved after you get approved.
Oh, okay.
All right. So she kind of rides your back.
Okay, that's pretty much.
All right, so you just have to, at this point, you're waiting for a Stokes interview, but if it's a good marriage, you don't have anything to worry about. Yes, you got to prepare. Yes, you got to make sure, when you go for a Stokes interview that you and your spouse are on the same page, because a lot of people live together and you just live on different planets and screw up. So you got to make sure you're on the same planet to pass. But other than that, you should be okay.
All right, thank you so much.
All right.
And for the Stokes interview, do I, if that's the case, do I need the same set of documents that I had for the first interview?
Yes, and just update it all.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Let's go to Josephine in Houston, Texas. Josephine.
Hey, Brad.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
I have 2 questions. If I'm buying a house and I qualify for down payment assistance and first home buyers assistance, will I be in trouble when the time comes for me to file? I already have a work permit.
No, unless that's somehow this first-time home buyers assistance has to do with giving people who are below the poverty level. I don't think that's the case. I'm not sure exactly what your program is, but I don't think you have a problem.
Okay. Another question. I have a friend. She applied for asylum through LGBT, under the LGBT, and then she got married later to a man.
Oh.
She is worried. Do you think she's going to have issues at her interview?
Yes, because it's either one of two. One, she lied on her asylum. She's not a lesbian or whatever she claimed she was. And she's going to have to convince immigration of this. I don't know what the situation is. It's either she lied or she felt that she was a lesbian, or maybe she's bisexual, or that over time her things have changed, inwardly in her body, I guess. I don't know. But she's going to have to, she would have to explain something to that effect. Other than that, she's a liar, and they're going to deny her for misrepresentation.
I'll ask her to come to you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Brad.
All right. Let's go to Ricardo in Brooklyn. Ricardo.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, I have a question. My wife is not currently working, but she was thinking about filing for unemployment. She petitioned for me. We are just waiting for the interview. I am working, but she wanted to know if she can file for the unemployment. She did the adjustment of status in 2018, but we are just waiting for the interview.
Well, this is the story, okay? If she's not working, when you go to the interview, you're going to need to get a second affidavit of support from someone else because your spouse isn't working. Now, the fact that she's collecting unemployment is not a bar to getting a green card. It doesn't go against the poverty guidelines that you're getting some sort of government assistance. Anybody who gets fired from a job is entitled to unemployment, whether you made $1 million or you made minimum wage. So go collect the unemployment. Just make sure you have a second affidavit of support.
Okay, so it's not a problem.
Not a problem.
All right, thank you, then,
You're welcome. Let's go to Brenda in Houston, Texas. Brenda.
Hey, Mr. Brad.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
I have a master hearing coming up in August, and I've been going through spousal abuse, even though I didn't call police because my husband keeps threatening me that he will make sure I get deported. And I have a daughter that is on physical therapy because she was born with cerebral palsy. So right now I don't know what to do because I didn't call police.
How long have you been in the United States?
I've been here for 13 years.
Okay, so 2 things. Number 1, call the police. If you're being abused right now, as soon as we're done talking, call the police. Okay?
But I've been to the women's center. Each time I go through that emotional, I just start crying. I've been to the women's center and I have a counselor that is working with me.
What I want you to do, I can't help you emotionally. I wish I could. I don't have that knowledge or ability, all right, to make you feel better. I can tell you the law. And hopefully by me telling you the law, that will direct you to making life better. Okay? So the law is this. You do not have to stay in an abusive relationship, even if you're in deportation, to get a green card. So, this moment, this very second, as soon as you say to me after our conversation in the next 2 or 3 minutes, thank you, Brad, bye, okay, 2 things you're going to do. Call the police if you're being abused. If your husband's no longer there or you need to run away, run away. You don't need to be in an abusive relationship to get your green card. Call the police on him. That's what they're there. They're there to protect you in this particular situation. And then we're going to do 2 things. One, we're going to file a VAWA application, and we're going to go to the judge and say we have a VAWA application filed. We got rid of this abusive husband. Okay. 2, you're eligible for cancellation of removal for an abused spouse, and you have hardship to a child who has cerebral palsy. So you're going to get cancellation or removal anyway. You don't need this man in your life for 1 second. Don't let him threaten you. Get rid of him. Call the police on him. You should never be in an abusive relationship or feel the need to stay there because you're going to get you're going to get deported without his help. You're better off without him than with him right now. It's not even a close call. Okay, I can assure you, you get rid of this dude, you will still get through. You will not get deported no matter what he says, no matter what he does.
Okay, Mr. Brad, thank you so much.
Okay, all right. Let's go to Yash in Bloomingdale, Illinois. Yash.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, how are you?
Good evening. I'm good. I have 2 questions. Let me tell you this long story short. So, like, my parents filed for me for I-130. They are on a green card. They filed in January 2016. And right now, I just got an approval for I-30. And I'm just wondering, like, if I file I-485, how long it's going to take? And my second question is, how should I prepare for my interview?
All right. So who sponsored you originally? It was your wife?
My parents. I'm on a student visa right now.
Okay. I was trying to figure out how you were adjusting. Okay. So you're in legal status right now. When was the I-130 filed?
I filed in January. They filed in January 2016.
Okay. So right now, I believe they're in 2015. I could be wrong. So you can't file your adjustment application yet. Let's take a look quickly. I'm going to have to Google it, so I give you the exact. And you can Google USCIS visa bulletin for adjustment of status. And I'm doing that right now as we speak. And let's see the visa. And the first thing pops up on Bing, that's for sure. I don't know why I'm on Bing. I hate Bing, but okay, we're on Bing here on this studio thing. So June 2020, F2B. That's you, right?
That's right.
Okay, now where are you from?
I'm from Bloomingdale. I'm from India.
You're from India. Okay. So for F2B right now, they're up to December 1st, 2015.
Okay.
All right. So what's your date? What's your priority date? What is your priority date?
My priority date is January 2016.
Okay. So you can't file this month. I don't know what what August will bring. Okay. So you gotta wait. You gotta wait and see. But once the priority dates are reached, you're going to file an I-485, an affidavit of support, and what you got to expect on your interview is make sure you didn't commit fraud. You were in school this whole entire time. You never lied about what your intention is. Your parents are, in fact, your parents. You don't have a criminal record. You don't have a drugs in your system. You pass your medical exam, and you have a good affidavit of support.
Okay. That sounds good to me. Okay.
All right. And hold on if you need help. Let's go to Belinda in Alexandria, Virginia. Belinda.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Mr. Brad, I'm good. Yeah, I have this question. We're here October, and I got married to U.S. citizen in February, and my husband, my daughter is here on F1 visa, and my husband is a U.S. citizen. He applied for both of us adjustment of status. And the first time we have received it back, our document as an incomplete, and my B2 status in the process has passed away. But we have arranged it. We have included what was asked, and we resend it our application. But we didn't receive the receipt document.
All right. So your husband's a citizen, right?
Yes, he is.
All right. So in
And
essence, what I understand is he filed for you and your daughter. You screwed up. They returned the applications. You fixed it.
Yes.
You sent it back. By that time, you had overstayed on your visa. You haven't heard back from immigration. The fact that you overstayed on your visa, as long as you're married to an American, it's fine. They'll accept your adjustment. If you haven't, immigration's taking a very slow time in returning receipt notices to people these days. Do you know if your check was cashed for the filing fee?
No, it was not yet.
How long has it been sitting there?
Like a month, over a month. Yeah.
All right. So wait another couple weeks. If your check doesn't clear after 8 weeks, call me back. Then you think maybe there's an issue.
Okay. I have one other question.
Yes.
Due to the recent proclamation, which is the F1 visa, the cancellation of the F1 visa, does it affect my daughter?
No, because she filed an adjustment.
Okay. And if the people from IEC comes here, can I show the marriage certificate and the first the paper?
Why is ICE knocking on your door? They're not knocking on your door. Don't worry. Okay.
They're not.
They're not. I promise you. They're not coming for you, Belinda. Don't worry. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a great
You're welcome.
one. Thank you.
All right. Let's go to Juliet in Friendly, Minnesota. Juliet.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, Juliet. How are you?
I'm doing good.
What's going on?
I just want to ask if I can file I-130 for my brother in Nigeria. I called the immigration and they say I can do that. So I'm just trying to.
You can. You can. It's a 10-year wait. Right now, you have this Nigerian ban, but that's a ban to go for a visa appointment. Who knows what the law will be in 10 years from now? So file the I-130.
I should file it?
Yeah, file it. It's going to be a long wait, but file it.
My brother is in Nigeria, so I can file the I-130 here.
Yes.
Okay, second question. Thank you. Can I file for my cousin?
No filing for cousins. There's no such thing.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's go to Dwayne in Vernon, Alabama. Dwayne.
How you doing, Brad? Good
Hi,
afternoon.
how are you?
I'm okay. I got a question. I've been here since November. Got married in May, but I'm out of status now. I'm married to a U.S. citizen. I want to know my chances of getting a green card.
If you're married to a U.S. citizen, you overstayed your visa. If you live with your spouse, you don't have a criminal record, you have a financial relationship with her, and she's not on government assistance, I would say it's pretty good.
All right, but she's currently on food stamps or kids.
Well, then
That's what she said.
the kids on food stamps is okay. If she's on food stamps, it's a problem.
And low-income housing, how about that?
Low-income housing is a problem.
How could we fix that?
Get out of low-income housing, but it still doesn't fix the problem. But it makes the problem a little better. Because they look back for 3 years. I think you need a consultation. Hold on. Let's go to Lincoln in Vancouver, Canada. Lincoln.
Hey, how's it going? Actually, I'm from there. I live in LA right now.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm good. Actually, I got a question for you, mate.
Sure.
So my husband and I were married. We're filing for adjustment of status. Now, my only question is, technically I'm going to be out of status soon, because I think you only get 6 months as a Canadian or something like that in the country. Now, now that we're applying for adjustment of status and whatnot, am I going to be deported?
No, as soon as you file the adjustment, you're in legal status, so you're fine.
Yeah, even with this whole corona, even
with
it's
this whole
taken a while?
corona, yeah.
Okay, because I'm just kind of afraid I don't want ICE kind of knocking at my door.
I mean, anything could happen, but the odds of ICE knocking on your door is like, me and Yo-Yo showing up at your door and knocking on it. I mean, it's so infinitesimally small. So file your adjustment. As soon as you file your adjustment, you're lawfully here as a pending adjustment. Okay. They'll give you a work permit. You'll get travel permission. You'll be fine.
Okay, because I understand that things are kind of taking a little bit longer. I know that USCIS are furloughing people next month.
They are taking longer, but that doesn't mean that when you file an adjustment, you're here out of status. You have a pending adjustment.
Okay, so would I have any kind of documentation after that?
Yeah, you're going to get a receipt notice saying your adjustment has been filed. You'll get a work permit. You'll eventually get a travel document to travel back and forth, and eventually you'll go for an interview and get your green card.
Okay, cool. Yeah, all right, then all good.
All right, yeah, hold on one second. Sounds like you need a consultation. Let's go to Pradeep in Queens. Pradeep.
Good evening,
evening.
Uncle Brad.
How are you?
I'm fine, Uncle Brad. By the way, I have a question. I filed for the pandemic unemployment assistance. I'm a VAWA petitioner. I filed last year.
Right.
And my work permit got expired, and so I was expelled from the job. So I've been unemployed since 6 months. So they have sent me a letter asking if I am authorized to work, and if not,
you need to renew your work permit to be authorized to work. And the answer would be
I
yes.
have applied for the work permit.
So if you've reapplied, you applied for it, or you have it.
So I have I applied and I've got the 797 notice of action.
Is this for renewal or for your original one?
It's the new one for the I-360.
Okay, so you had a work permit. You're renewing this work permit.
It's not renewing. It's I-360. I'm applying the 7. It's not renewing, sir. It's
okay. Have you filed an adjustment application?
Yes, sir. I-485. I filed it.
Yeah. So if you're not renewing your work permit, you're not authorized to work until you get the work permit.
Yeah. So I should can I scan it and send it to them for claiming the further benefits?
You can send a receipt, but that doesn't authorize you to work. Receipt that you have a pending work permit, but that doesn't authorize you to work. But
but they asked me another option that if no, then they asked me to apply for the renewal your employment authorization. Just send it like that if you have applied. So can I scan it and send it, sir?
You can do whatever you want.
So
okay. You're calling me up and asking me how can you finagle your way to get a work permit. Okay, I can't tell you how to. You know what the word finagle means?
What's that?
Squirm, lie, cheat, misrepresent yourself. I just finished telling you are not authorized to work. You can't work. So now you call me up and say, well, how can I finagle my way to cheat the government to tell them how I can work? And the answer is do whatever the hell you want, but I can't tell you to go do it. You're lying. You're cheating.
No, I'm not asking for the...
So what do you want from me?
No, for the pandemic unemployment
the answer is this.
Yeah.
You call me up on the show and you say, I applied for unemployment insurance. I get a letter back. And this is why I get angry. Don't call me up and ask me how to lie to the government. You shouldn't get it. You don't get it. You don't deserve it. Okay? So you call me up. 1 second. No, let me be clear to you. Yes, you call me up on the show and you say to me, I applied for unemployment. Okay, you're entitled to apply for unemployment. Government sends you back a letter. Prove to us you're authorized to work. So I said, are you authorized to work? You said, no, I've applied for my work permit. I haven't gotten it yet. So I say, well, then you're not authorized to work. You're not entitled. Based on what you're telling me, you're not entitled to it. And then you start asking me, well, what could I do to finagle my way to prove you're not? You're not entitled to it.
No, they have asked another alternative question like, if there is a 797 notice of action, you may send it. So
that's what I said. So then send it.
All right.
But that doesn't authorize you to work, but send it. But it only authorizes you to work. The I-797 receipt notice only authorizes you to work if you already had a work permit, which you told me you didn't.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Guys, do me a favor. Okay, I'm happy to help you, but don't call me up and ask me how to lie to the government. All right, let's go to Beverly in Avenel, New Jersey. Beverly.
Hi, good afternoon,
How are you?
Brad. I'm fine, thanks.
Good, what's going on?
I have a few questions. Actually, a question.
Right.
Okay, so I applied for my two daughters in 2015, October, and I gotten the letter of approval in 2018, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah, and after that, I haven't gotten any other documentation. I try to reach out to the USCIS, and I send them emails to find out what's going on.
How old are these children?
They're over 21.
And when did you file for them?
2015.
And you still haven't heard anything yet?
No.
Wow, because the priority dates are current for them now.
So I'm like.
And if you go online, there's nothing?
You see something there, but it's telling you have to have some kind of welcome letter.
All right, why don't you bring in what you did, and if you have a receipt notice, we'll check it online, and if it's still pending, I think we should be threatening a mandamus because your kids are eligible for their green cards now, assuming there's no Trump ban.
No, that nothing has prevented them from getting it.
No, the Trump ban is preventing them from getting it, but you should still have
gotten.
You should still have gotten approval by now. You should still have gotten approval now.
That's what I said too.
Yes.
So bring everything in.
Yeah, because I'm not sure what you're looking at. Because if you have an I-130 receipt notice, you should be able to go on USCIS and check the case status.
Yeah, but when I checked it, they always say it's current. That's all it says.
Okay, and you've called that 1-800 number, and what have they said?
Whenever you try to call them, you never get you never get to it.
I think at this point you need a consultation. So hold on one second. Let's see what we can do. About it, all right. With that, we have Yo-Yo and Vanessa. Hello.
Can you hear us?
I do. I'm just looking at the comments. Like Candace Clark is like, "Oh my God, Uncle Brad getting cross now."
Yeah, that was intense.
Yeah, I mean, don't call me up and ask me how to lie to the government. You don't deserve it.
Right.
You don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. I'm happy to help people who deserve.
Right.
All I can do is follow the law. I feel bad that you can't get a work permit. I feel bad you can't collect unemployment. Nobody's sitting here saying you should. I don't feel bad, but the law is the law.
Right.
All right. What do we have to do here? I lost my train of thought. Oh, I know what we have to do.
A little edumacation.
Yes, I forgot about that. In this Braducaton, I answer what you should do once your temporary protected status expired. Let's watch. When your TPS expires, unfortunately, you go back to whatever position you were prior to you getting TPS. So if you were on a student visa and you got TPS, then presumably you would go back to student visa status. If you were on TPS and you were out of status when you got your TPS, then you would fall back out of status. If you were already previously ordered deported and you got TPS and TPS is over, you would go back to having an order of deportation and perhaps even a warrant out for your arrest. Every person who is on TPS should figure out what they're going to do once TPS expires and not wait for that time to happen. Yeah, Yo-Yo, Vanessa, I need like some tequila. Stargirl Mika says I need some strong back in this cup. Some people said I need some rum in this cup. I need something in this cup stronger than water.
Yeah, I think you do as well.
All right, let's do...
Or water to cool the fire.
Exactly. Let's do something called social media check-in. All right, what do we got?
All right, our first one comes from Ayaba saying, "Hey Brad, my sister had an AOS filed since November 2018. She was asked to submit an RFE, which she did. USCIS received the RFE on November 2019. Since then, no update has been made as we continue to check online. How can you advise us?"
Well, usually the RFE is from an adjustment of status because you didn't properly file it. So when you filed it when responded in November, that's actually when it was received. So you should be getting a work permit momentarily, but don't expect an interview till 2021.
Alrighty, the next one comes from Better Life Records, and they ask, what is a merit-based green card, and when is the executive order proposed for that expected to be passed?
There's no such thing as a merit-based green card, and there is no executive order for merit-based green cards that will pass. Trump just can't give green cards. All right. If Obama couldn't give a work permit and promise not to deport somebody, Trump can't give a green card. That would be amnesty.
Okay, next one comes from Chris Kelly saying, "Can a green card holder who doesn't work collect unemployment?"
Yes. Not who doesn't work collect it. You can collect the pandemic unemployment. Everyone's entitled to. Everyone's entitled to the stimulus check because there's three different things. There's the stimulus check. Everyone would be entitled to that. So just because you don't work, you would get a stimulus check, and hopefully you got it. And if they make a second stimulus check, you'll get it. Then there's unemployment. You're only entitled to collect unemployment if you were working and you got laid off. And then there's regular unemployment, and then there's pandemic unemployment, which is the extra unemployment on top of your regular unemployment, but that would only be if you got laid off.
All right, next one says, I have a pending asylum since 2016, January, and I came to the U.S. on an F1 visa. I got married to a U.S. citizen in December 2018. We recently filed an I-130 and 1485 or an I-485 together. What should I do with my asylum?
Withdraw it.
Okay, next one saying, "Hey Brad, my fiance has an NYC benefit card since the year 2013. I was unaware of this when I had my phone consultation. He has not filed for me yet. So I just want to know how this would affect the process, even if he comes off of the benefit immediately."
Well, as long as he didn't get any benefits for it, and as long as it wasn't poverty related, then it should be okay.
Alrighty, next one says, I came to the U.S. on a student visa, and within a year, I have applied for asylum. If my employer is ready to...
No, it's a different one. I'm sorry. My apologies. I didn't mean to interrupt you. My fault, Vanessa.
Ready to provide...
I am now sorry.
So,
I don't mean to interrupt you, Vanessa. I'm terribly sorry. Start again.
Okay, so I came to the U.S. on a student visa, and within a year, I applied for asylum. If my employer is ready to provide sponsorship, am I eligible to change my visa status for asylum to green card?
No, I doubt it, because you got to be in legal status on a visa, legal visa status to do a job sponsorship. If you do, asylum is not legal visa status, and you're not going to be able to adjust your status at the end. And you can't go to your home country to pick up your green card because you applied for asylum. So I don't think that's going to work.
Okay, next one comes from one of my favorite names that I've read so far, Sum-Ting Wong.
Sum-Ting Wong?
Yes, but it's
is this a serious question, or is this going to be somebody who is...
No, it's a serious question.
This is a serious question? Sum-Ting Wong? Okay.
Yes, but it's 3 words.
Yes, Ting. I got it. I
love it. All right. My I-601 was denied, and I filed an I-290B, and that also got denied. Now, USCIS is saying I can apply to AAO using the I-290B. Should I file a new I-290B again with the AAO, or just file with the U.S. District Court?
I think you should file a new I-601, because very rarely do waivers get approved. So something wrong, you're doing the wrong thing.
Yes.
Okay, the next one comes from Najla Danishyar, and they ask, what does it mean by the day of issuing green card/green card approval? Is that the day that the USCIS approves the I-130 petition, or the date that the NVC accepts all documents or passing interview overseas?
Say it again.
What does it mean? What does the day of issuing green card/green card approval mean? Is it the day the USCIS approves the I-130 petition,
No.
or the day NVC accepts all the documents or passing interview overseas?
The day that you obtained your green card is the day you entered the United States with your immigrant visa. So your first time into the United States in the airport saying, here's my documents I got at the U.S. Embassy for my immigrant visa, that's the day you became a lawful permanent resident.
Okay, Samantha Merchant saying, I filed for my husband in Jamaica. He was in Trinidad and got dipped back to Jamaica. Will this affect his filing when he goes to the interview at the Jamaica embassy?
What happened? What happened in Trinidad?
I think he got shipped back, maybe.
Shipped back? He got deported?
Probably. Oh, yeah. So
when you got shipped back?
Dipped back. So
dipped back, I guess deported probably. Back. Yeah, if you got deported, you need a waiver before you can return, and then it depends on why you got deported. Maybe you need 2 waivers, or maybe you're not eligible to come back at all. So we really need to look into that.
Alrighty, the next one is more of a social media comment than a question. This one comes from Mana Lion Jackson, and they say, hey, Uncle Brad, squad up. Magical Ball, did you know that the Senegal U.S. Embassy reopened?
I did not know. Thank you very much.
To share.
Thank you very much.
Sharing the fun fact.
Thank you. Thank you. That's not only a fun fact, but a good fact. So thank you very much.
Yes. All right. Yash saying, I'm an F1 student and my parents are green card holders. They filed my I-130 back in January 2015. Now I received my approval letter for I-130, which was filed by my parents. If I filed the I-485, how long will that wait be?
When was the original I-130 filed?
Asked during the interview as well.
I think I spoke to him on the phone. I did speak to him on the phone, and I said he had to wait. Remember, we looked up the visa bulletin for him, so we already answered that question.
Okay, the next one comes from Charlotte Belisile, and they ask, squad up, Uncle Brad. I applied for a U.S. visa in 2017. I received a receipt in February 2020 for an I-765 that my case was transferred to Nebraska Center. Do you know when I should receive my I-765? I knew that was coming. Even I could have guessed that was it.
Will he receive his work permit, Magic 8 Ball, by the end of the year? And the Magic 8 Ball says, concentrated, ask again. I didn't ask well enough.
Oh, you didn't ask well enough?
I did not ask well enough. Give me the full question. Give me the full question again, because the Magic 8 Ball didn't get it.
Charlotte said, I applied for a U.S. visa in 2017, received a receipt in February of 2020 for my I-765, and the case was transferred to Nebraska. We don't know where it was originally. Do you know when they should receive their I-765, Uncle Brad?
I don't even know anything about this person's case, what visa they're talking about, but the Magic 8 Ball would have the answer. It says, my reply is, don't bet on it. Poor Magic 8 Ball is really coming down hard on people these days. Yeah. I need to know a lot more, and then I wouldn't ask the Magic 8 Ball. I just read what it says. But if I know a lot more, like who's sponsoring you, what are you basing your adjustment of status on, I can give you a better answer. I don't know enough about it. You gave me a very vague question. So vague question, wanting to know when you're going to get something on a vague question, only the Magic 8 Ball can give you an answer to that.
All right, next one comes from Lincoln A saying, what happens when you apply for an adjustment of status and you end up losing status because you're waiting on an approval? Does this mean that you're now in the country illegally?
If your adjustment's denied, you're illegal, yeah.
All right, next one comes from Miles7, and they ask, hi, Brad. I asked for my wife. My wife and I Stoke interview. We couldn't answer the same 3 answers out of 12 questions. The officer gave my wife a chance to explain the 3 questions, and she did. the train and the car question, my wife told me the officer said to her that in Africa we don't go to the wedding center together. Please advise.
You had a Stokes interview, and then apparently they asked, one of the questions was, how did you get to the wedding? You know, and your guys' answers didn't match. And then they brought you back in and they asked you to make sense of the fact that 3 questions didn't match. If you were able to make sense of it, and I hope you were, I wasn't there, you should pass. If not, you got 3 out of 12, that's 25% of the questions wrong, you got a problem.
Okay, Brad, I have a pending judiciary review case going on at the 9th Circuit on my asylum case, and I'm married to a U.S. citizen. Can I file for both my I-130 and I-45 together, or what should I do?
It depends on what your status was when you came into the United States of America. So, for example, if you were paroled into the United States, you should be eligible to adjust your status. If you came on a visa and then applied for asylum, it's a different situation. If you entered without inspection, that's a third different situation. So it depends on what your situation is, how your entry was, how you got put in removal. I would need to have a consultation with you to figure out whether or not you can adjust with a waiver. You need to reopen your case. You need to do a provisional waiver and a 212 waiver. So there's all sorts of, go home, come back, but then how you go home and come back if you have asylum. So there's a whole smorgasbord of questions I have that I don't have the answer to right now. You would need a consultation.
Okay, next one asks, how long does it take for a widow's petition to approve after receiving a receipt notice for that petition?
At least a year.
MJ is saying, hey, Brad and squad, my cousin is currently under TPS. She was adopted in Haiti at 3 years old and lived in the U.S. all her life. She is now 25 years old. How can she go about getting a green card?
I would need to have a consultation with her. That's how do I get a green card? If TPS is expiring, she could also file for DACA. Sounds like she would be eligible for DACA. Let's do one more question, but she needs a consultation. I don't have the answer. How do you get a green card?
All right, the last one says, hi, Brad. My question is, my friend's mom came to the U.S. with a B1, B2 visa, and the son has a 10-year green card. Is he able to file for a green card for his mom? She has been living in the U.S. for 7 years now.
The son would have to become a U.S. citizen first and then can file her adjustment. So let the son become a U.S. citizen quickly if he's over 21. All right. So with that, I had recently spoke with Cecil J. Williams. He's an American photographer who has covered the civil rights movement in the South since the 1950s. Besides his incredible photography career, Cecil has run for Senate, published books, invented a process to preserve film, and is now the founder of the Cecil Williams Civil Rights Museum and Institute for Social Innovation. Cecil and I had a great conversation about his career, the civil rights movement in America past, and the civil rights movement in America present. Let's watch. It's a great honor for me to have Cecil J. Williams. He's an American photographer, publisher, author, inventor. He's best known for his photography documenting the civil rights movement in South Carolina beginning in the 1950s. Cecil is now 82 years young, and over the course of his lifetime, he has taken over 600,000 photos. In the summer of 2019, he opened the Cecil Williams Civil Rights Museum and Institute for Social Innovation to house hundreds of images and artifacts from the civil rights movement. Now, Cecil joins me today to discuss his experience growing up Black in the South, his career covering the civil rights movement, and his thoughts on the state of race relations in America today and the protests that are going on. Welcome, Cecil. As I said, it is an honor to have you on our show. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming.
Well, it's my great honor to be here, and also that I'm having this interview by you. It's my great pleasure to participate.
So where were you born? Where were you raised?
Right here in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Fortunately, they haven't run me out, so I'm still living here today. My favorite place to visit, of course, is New York. Everything always draws me back to Orangeburg, and I'm still here. All of my life I've been here.
Tell me what your background is.
I am a child of segregation, having grown up in the South, in the deep South, in fact, and in an area that, of course, embraced segregation and rigid laws affecting people of color. My father was a tailor and my mother was a classroom school teacher. So I come from that kind of background.
Tell me what it was like growing up pre-civil rights movement in South Carolina.
Well, I think about 5 years old is my earliest recollection of maybe something to do with race. I remember I loved automobiles and my mother gave me $1 and we entered a 5 and 10 in downtown Orangeburg. And after paying 78 cents out of the $1 the mother had given me for purchasing my car toy, the clerk slammed the change down on the counter. And afterwards, I kind of asked her, what was that all about? And she began to explain to me the fact that people of color were treated that way sometimes. I think the clerk resented us being there, and we did nothing to make her slam my change on the counter. But anyway, that was the kind of way.
And you went to a segregated school?
All of my life.
What was that like?
I think I had a very happy childhood. Of course, often we did not have the books, the facilities, and other things that would have refined my education. However, I did receive a very good education. I think that my teachers showed a lot of interest in me. I think that I had a very happy childhood. Often we got the secondary or secondhand books. Often there were names in the books. So the resources we had, of course, rely on, often they were out of date. I think that if I had access to better educational material, I could have become more aware of things as they transpired. Another thing were, of course, the facilities that we were educated in. Often they were substandard. I think they did have indoor plumbing.
What did you miss by not being able to mix and associate and become friends with other children that didn't look like you?
I would have been able to broaden my perspective and really be able, from the interchange of from pupil to pupil, been able to have a better idea of just being together with other people. So we missed that.
Right.
There were times when African American or people of color would then play with children of other races. The communities did overlap, but not having the shiny playground equipment and not being able to go to the local library, again, so that I could broaden my experiences and my reading about subject matter. There was a soda shop, however, and I remember around 8 or 9 years old, the owner of the soda shop would allow me to read the photography magazines that often were unsold. And I was able to broaden my experience. My parents had endured the system of segregation, rigid segregation,
right,
and also legal segregation, where there are laws on the books that govern Black and white people. The movie theaters were segregated, churches were segregated, of course, and other facilities. And often, again, we had substandard facilities available to African Americans, but not the newer places, the better equipped places. For example, audio-visual equipment, which I would have very much liked to have during my middle school years. A motion picture projector, a slide screen projector. Often they weren't available, but were readily available in the other schools.
You wanted to be an architect.
The only university in the state of South Carolina that I could have gone to receive a degree in architecture was Clemson University. When I sent my interest to apply, they never did even reply back to me. I did go, however, to Claflin University, which was a great decision as well, because it was there I was able to not only become the official photographer for the university and get a stipend for taking pictures for the yearbook, but also hone my craft. And then at 14 years old, continuing my work after having been selected by Jet Magazine to be a correspondent for them.
When did you realize that accommodation doesn't work?
We're talking about a period of time here in the 50s now. It was beginning to really be very evident that in order to really become first-class citizens, that perhaps in education, this might be a good place to try to move that forward. The civil rights movement, in my opinion, really began only 30 miles from where I live, because it was there that people in the community of Clarendon County, Somerton, South Carolina, 30 miles from Orangeburg, started a protest and a boycott and a petition that is called the Briggs versus Elliott petition.
Were they asked to end segregation?
Initially, they were just asking for better facilities, but the second and third petition turned into the first suit against segregation in American schools. That case, combined with four others, the one from Topeka, Kansas, being the one that stood out and one that most Americans know about mostly, is called Brown. But it was the Briggs case that was the first case. And so we learned from that in Orangeburg, and having friends and family that came from Clarendon County that sort of ignited, they were really the catalyst of protests against segregated institutions.
You were photographing for Jet Magazine when you were 14 years old. How did they find out about you?
Well, Jet Magazine came into Orangeburg, South Carolina because of what was happening here among the people that was very unusual. We had started the strategy of boycott merchants that put pressure on African American here. And that was our means of, again, striking out and beginning to become confrontational with the system. My parents had endured the system through accommodation, but I was beginning to become a part of that generation where we actually confronted the system and were beginning to be engaged in marching and demonstrating. And of course, when Jet found that we were using this kind of strategy in Orangeburg, they decided that they needed someone continuously on the ground in Orangeburg. And I became one of the about 20 correspondents beginning at 14 years old.
One of your photographs made the cover of Jet Magazine. When was that, and what was that photograph?
In working for Jet, probably around 15 or 20 years, I only made one cover. It was always something that those correspondents who worked for Jet wanted to do. It was always, our eyes were on the prize of making the front cover.
That's like your Super Bowl trophy.
For me, it did not happen until 1969. And this
okay.
A year after the death of the Reverend Martin Luther King. The people in Charleston, South Carolina, especially with the hospital workers, found themselves in a situation where they only were receiving half as much as their white counterparts who were doing the same job they were. And they started a boycott and march and demonstrations in Charleston. And Mrs. King, Andrew Young, and many other civil rights leaders at that time came to Charleston to engage in that. And my picture of Mrs. King on the front cover of Jet, wearing the hat of the local union that supported the Black workers who really wanted to make the same wages as everyone else because they did the same job.
There's also an iconic photograph of you when you were 19 years old, drinking from a whites-only water fountain. What is the story behind this photograph, and who took it?
A friend of mine and I went to the coast of South Carolina where there was going to be a test of the segregated facilities and also places like even the Atlantic Ocean. And they prohibited African Americans from either going to the beach front. And so the president of the South Carolina NAACP, Ida Quincy Newman, was going to test that. And my friend and I, Rendell Harper, we went to photograph that. On the way back, we got thirsty and we stopped at a filling station. And I took a picture of him drinking out of the white-only water fountain. He took a picture of me.
His photograph of you became the famous one.
Yes, I think I haven't been able to find my picture that I took of him.
Tell me a little bit about desegregation of Clemson University in 1963. What was your involvement in any of that?
Harvey Gantt, a few years later than my interest in going to Clemson, also wanted to be an architect. Harvey Gantt did, through the courts, become the first person of color to go to Clemson University. And it was my great pleasure, again, not being able to go to Clemson, but then one of the three African Americans on the campus of Clemson University, at the time, he became the first person of color to integrate a school of higher education in South Carolina. South Carolina handled the integration of Harvey Gantt with dignity. However, it was done in a very tight security because in Mississippi and Alabama, there were all kinds of protests going on.
Yeah. Mississippi's famous for not welcoming Black students into their schools.
Right. Harvey Gantt handled it. Of course, I was there early that morning. I remember a very cold morning when he arrived on the campus. And then I had to take my photographs or my film and then rush off to Jet Magazine, and then it resulted in a 7-page story on Harvey Gantt.
You also covered the 1968 Orangeburg massacre. That's your hometown. What happened there?
So in 1968, 3 years after Congress has passed laws that allow people of color to really go where they wanted to, bowling alleys of America were open, but not in Orangeburg, South Carolina in 1968. It was a bit of resistance. Students at South Carolina State University in Claflin and Wilkinson High School wanted to change that. And an event occurred that is now referred to as the Orangeburg Massacre, where 3 students were killed by law enforcement in the attempt, again, to integrate a bowling alley. Again, just like it is today, erupting all over this country. 9 highway patrolmen at about 9:30 on the evening of February the 8th loaded their shotguns with double-aught shotgun shells and marched into a crowd of 250 students and began firing for 9 or 10 seconds, wounding 37 and killing 3. This story is not as well known as that of Kent State, which also had similar protests where students were killed. But Kent State is better known, and it is, again, part of history. But the Orangeburg Massacre is not known quite as well as, again, events like that.
Why do you think that is?
Sometimes there were actually news blackouts where things happening in Orangeburg were just not really reported. My picture on the front cover of the New York Times, where 388 students were arrested. We made that national spotlight, but again, just fell back out of being, nationally recognized as a place where there were, countless numbers of demonstrations and unrest due to, again, the segregation and the rigidation of the Deep South.
What was it like being arrested for a civil rights violation?
Actually, I was not arrested in the situation where I took the pictures. I was arrested earlier in 1961 and 62. Again, protests in downtown Orangeburg, South Carolina, and the police authorities arrested me first, took my camera away from me, took the film out, threw my camera in the back trunk of their car, and then took me to jail.
Did you get hurt?
No, I was not hurt. They treated me okay. The minute I got in jail, I borrowed a dime, which was the cost of a telephone call at that time. And I called the Associated Press because I had contacts there, and I explained to them that, hey, I can't take any pictures for you because I'm in jail. They saw no difference between me being a protester and me being a photographer.
Did you ever photograph Dr. King?
I had 4 encounters with the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I filmed him with my 16-millimeter camera.
What are your recollections of him?
He was a very brave person, and he had accepted the mantle of leadership at the time. I think it was something that he didn't really seek, but again, he had this bestowed upon him.
Right.
Due to his presence, again, at a time in history, December 1st, 1955, when Rosa Parks becomes arrested, and he is elected again to lead that movement in Montgomery, Alabama.
You also met Senator John Kennedy. You actually became a trusted photographer. Tell me about your relationship with him.
Well, I have to take you back to about the 1960 now. During this semester break, when I was a senior at Claflin University, I visited my aunt and uncle in New York. I read in the paper that a person that I admired, a person that had spoken out against segregation, Senator John F. Kennedy of Massachusetts, was going to make an announcement at the Roosevelt Hotel on the east side of New York. And I didn't have my press credentials with me, but nevertheless, I was making my way into the hotel, and 2 hotel security people saw me. And this is a time, again, 1960, I don't think we have many journalists working for even like the New York Times and other newspapers. And they saw me, and they were, again, caught up with me, and again, were about to escort me. At that very moment, I was being thrown out. John F. Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, and Jacqueline are coming up to the podium. They saw this happening, and they prevented it. They said, no, let him stay. And Kennedy and I had a few words. He asked me, what was I doing there?
Right.
Some of my background. And so here we are talking before a room full of journalists. He gave me his personal business card, Hyannisport, Massachusetts, and I shared my pictures. And over the course of the next, 4 months of his announcing at that hotel that he was going to be a candidate for the presidency, I became a very close, I think, friend with Senator John F. Kennedy, and of course, photographed him many, many times.
So you photographed him through the whole presidential election?
Yes.
And when he became president, you were not invited into the White House to continue to photograph?
In the 60s were, again, kind of lean. I'm just getting out of college. I was invited, had a personal invitation, in fact, to visit the White House in the inauguration, but I was not able to attend.
Both of these men we just talked about, Dr. Martin Luther King, President Kennedy, both got assassinated. Tell me how you felt about each of those assassinations.
Seeing John F. Kennedy being shot affected me for quite a while afterwards. It was a period of sadness that, again, to see a person with that kind of promise. History has it when Johnson is elected, I think he was able to then move Congress to passing laws that might have been even more than John F. Kennedy would have been able to do, given the day and the circumstances. And Dr. King, again, a sad moment in America, a sad moment for me personally, my family, because we admired him as a person with great abilities. He was able to keep the civil rights movement safe. He was able to keep nonviolence. And again, a person of great conviction. Again, a person who we look back today and said so many things of wisdom we can look back to, and that supports us in similar circumstances today.
You almost became the Democratic nominee for Senate in South Carolina, and one of the first Black people ever to run for United States Senate. Tell me about that experience.
As a teenager, I was very much taken back by the words from United States Senator and our one-time Governor, Strom Thurmond. Often he would come on the radio and never be able to seemingly pronounce the word Negro. He would say Negra. And always when there was something that he was reporting, he would always be anti-African Americans. That he said, colored people got refrigerators and cars. Now what do they want? As we were pushing for, again, becoming, fully accepted into American mainstream. So I vowed that when I became of age, you have to be 33 years old to run for the United States Senate. So in 1985, I, for the first time, got enough money together to file to become a candidate in the Democratic primary in 1985. I had to, of course, win the primary in order to face Thurmond in the general election. But however, I was defeated by a close margin. I lost by 300 votes. I only had a $500 campaign treasury.
How did you get your word out?
I think people fail to realize that having so little, but yet running for high office, that alone, I think, inspired people that might have said, well, hey, let's help this underdog. In 1995, still wanting to have someone else replace Strom Thurmond. He talked against the passage of the civil rights movement and through his lifetime really was anti-Black. So I ran again, and this time the competition was a multimillionaire. But this time I did have a larger amount in my treasury. This time I had $800. Nevertheless, I got 69,000 votes compared to the winning person in the primary, Elliot Close, who got 99,000.
How did you preserve all of these films and photographs over your lifetime?
Very difficultly so. Often there would be situations where their safety was compromised. So about 5 years ago, I came up with what I call the Film Toaster, a platform that allows you to digitize your film, but about 50 times faster than most other efforts. I'm proud to say today that there are photographers all over the world that are using the Film Toaster. The Barry Goldwater collection has been digitized by the Film Toaster. Recently, Sony, we're digitizing in a large collection for them. Also, the great software company Adobe has purchased the Film Toaster.
You've written some books.
I have actually 4 books that I did over the course of about a 30-year period, all large format, coffee table books, which shows the dignity and the people unknown mostly behind the civil rights movement and demonstrations, and people who normally are not known in our history books, but nevertheless played a very important part in the American civil rights movement.
Tell me what your thoughts about the state of race relations, the state of the United States right now.
Well, I feel that what has happened recently kind of brings out what happens when you have at the administration level, hatred being the byproduct of so many things, but to focus on people of color coming in through our southern borders. We've never done that same thing with Canada. We've never done that same thing where other people are coming in, sometimes legally or illegally, into the United States. And the demonstrations and the protests going on now in Washington, I think it is directed at the right place, because that was where this hatred began. An administration and a president that does not seem to want to come to grips with the fact that we are all Americans. We are all one country, and we all want the same thing. But we are still held back by, again, some bad police and law enforcement. And it's always been there, such as it was with the Orangeburg massacre, where 3 students were killed. And again, the lack of respect for people of color, the lack of respect for really anyone. I'm so very proud to see that everyone is joining these marches and demonstrations. The violence we can do without, but that's always the risk of anything. You see, the American Civil Rights Movement, unlike the Boston Tea Party, have some kind of weight, and is within our rights and our guidelines and the laws of this nation that protests is a form of showing resentment and displeasure at some way of governing. And again, for the President of the United States order, I'm really emotionally drained by the fact that to see what was done in front of the world by the President of the United States taking on to himself to call out our armed services, to again, the people, as far as I could see, were peacefully demonstrating. But it was all dramatics and really a photo opportunity as we see him standing in front of a church with a Bible. You're talking about fake news. He actually orchestrated that. And again, I'm very ashamed that we have allowed administration. I'm also a little upset with our lack of leadership in coming out against the person and the administration and what's happening there in Washington. Where is our leadership in really?
I've been saying that every day. I said, who's saying anything? Nobody. Yes. Leadership to me means you sit with the people who have a problem and you listen to them and you empathize with them and you say, I hear your problem. I hear your pain, but let's work together to make the future better. That's what a leader is. Where is that coming from anywhere?
This is a 9/11 moment in America. I'm very sorry that violence has been slightly diluted the effort. But again, I'm very proud to see that so many people of all colors and all races out there, people know when something's wrong. I'm very happy also that the power and impact of imagery, which has been the cornerstone of my profession, photography. One image worth 1,000 words has often been said. And now with video being able to add elements as well, people of all countries can see what's happening to people of color in the streets of an American city. I don't think that it makes it hard for them to realize, again, as a result of these demonstrations and marches, that while we are so angry and while everyone is angry, because no one would want to be under the knee of an arrest and such a small infraction. What, something about a $20 bill?
$20 bill.
And just incredible.
You know, you've lived a life. Have you reached your American dream? Tell me your thoughts about that.
I'm hoping that people will realize that there's no such thing as race. We're all of one kind. I think the astronauts can explain it best that when they're in outer space, looking back at an amazing planet, and look back at that planet and say, on that planet, there are people, not African Americans, not black, not white, not even when it comes down to international relations. When all of us, China, Russia, everyone can really just appreciate the fact that we have a great gift, the gift of life. And let's not waste it fighting against each other. Let's, work towards one accord and one race, one people, so that we can make our planet a better place to live.
That'd be an amazing place to be.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Cecil. I really appreciate your time. Cecil Williams, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Julian, let's get 1:20 on the clock. Let's see if Vanessa and Yo-Yo can save me from getting blown up yet again. Do I have Yo-Yo? I'm channeling the voices of Yo-Yo and Vanessa. I'm channeling it. Do I hear them in the cloud? I hear them in the clouds somewhere. I hear Yo-Yo in the clouds. There's 1:20. I hear Vanessa. I've got them channeled. And they are safely in Harlem and in New Jersey. So if they do blow up the studios, they are completely safe. Only I, Uncle Brad, will risk my life to answer these questions. What?
Not going to allow it to blow
You will not allow it. But I just want you to know only I, Brad Bernstein, will risk his life answering these questions. Yo-Yo and Vanessa are safe in their homes. Toby, you ready?
Yes.
Go.
Ready?
Go.
I'm married to a U.S. citizen, but got married 69 days after entering the USA. Will I need a waiver?
Perhaps. You got to prove that it was not your intent to get a green card when you entered America.
Can I leave to see my sick father while my I-130 is pending?
No, you need advance parole.
Is Philippine Embassy open coming July 15th?
Nope, not yet.
How long does a case take to transfer from one state to another?
Long time.
I have some cases, but I got a divorce last year, so I still can't do anything to get a green card.
Not based on your marriage unless there was abuse.
Can my son file for his citizenship although he is waiting for his green card?
I don't know anything about your son's case. I think you have to get a green card first before you become a citizen. It's general rule.
How soon after a divorce can someone remarry in the state of New York?
The next day.
Does anyone know what other government assistance can get with prima facie other than food stamps?
Whatever federal government assistance you're entitled to.
Is Kenya U.S. Embassy open?
Kenya U.S. Embassy is not open except to U.S. citizens.
We just filed an adjustment of status but realized that my spouse left out a W-2 form in the affidavit of support. Can you quickly email it to immigration?
I was praying.
We just needed that one.
Praying. What was the question?
We just filed an adjustment of status but realized that my spouse left out a W-2 form from the affidavit of support. Can we quickly email it to immigration?
No, you wait for them to request it or bring it to the interview.
Damn. That was it.
Damn. Well, at least we'll be happy with comments of the day, right? Are we going to be happy with comments of the day? All right, what do we got?
Okay.
All right, guys. Our first comment of the day comes from Tali saying, YouTube, this show is too great for you not to like.
That's right, Tali. She's our best promoter over there.
Yes.
But Tali was promoting those thumbs up. I saw her.
Yes.
Alrighty, our next comment of the day comes from Something Wong. And he says, imagine if Brad was the president. We all would become citizens overnight.
If Brad was the president, something Wong is right.
Right. All right, guys, our third comment of the day. Quinique Shika saying, thanks, Uncle Brad, for taking time out of your busy schedule to bless us with your knowledge, guiding us through our immigration cases during this time of uncertainty.
Oh, very nice.
Okie doke. The next comment of the day comes from Janice Smith, and she says, hi, Uncle Brad. I thank you for supporting the immigrant community and educating us with your knowledge. I truly appreciate you.
Thank you, Janice. That's nice, too.
Oh. All right, guys, our last comment of the day comes from Miloslav saying, no one should stay in an abusive relationship. Thank you, Uncle Brad, for this amazing advice to the victim of abuse. That's why you're the best attorney there is.
Thank you. All right, guys, a long show today. We're going to go home and rest, and we'll be back and do this all tomorrow, sometime between 5:30 and 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you then. So, Sam, as part of the production, we have to say this disclaimer at the end of the show. Do you mind reading it for me?
Okay, but you know, Brad, I have to do everything around here. It's bad enough I've got to remember everything that happened on the episode from the previous day.
Forget it. I'll do it. The proceeding was information only and not specific legal advice. Consult an attorney about your individual situation. Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. To make an appointment with the Barr and Bernstein law firm located at 225 Broadway in New York City, call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. Easy to remember, 1-800-LAW-LINK. That's 1-800-LAWLINK. Once again, make a call to 1-800-529-5465. And of course, link up with the law offices of Barr and Bernstein, located at 225 Broadway on the 5th floor. If I were you out there, make the call, make the link, make the connection, make it Barr and Bernstein. 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-529-5465. And now, conveniently located in Hartford, Connecticut on 1 Congress Street. Visit us in Connecticut or in New York at 225 Broadway. That's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-LAW-LINK. 1-800-529-5465.